Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Bimisala and I am a registered nutritionist here in Nigeria. Today's video is going to be a story time. And this story time is one that's very interesting. So I'm going to be talking about my journey in nutrition, how I became a registered nutritionist, and yeah, so let's get right into the video. So where do we start? Let's start from the very beginning. For as far back as I could remember, right, you know that this whole thing of when they say, like when probably from primary school as young children, they would ask and say, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And you'll be writing essays on my future ambition and this whole debate of doctors are better than lawyers. And in Nigeria, the stereotype was if you wanted to grow up, you either wanted to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Those three professions were like very rampant, and if you asked a regular primary school, even up until like secondary school, high school, right, they'll tell you doctor, lawyer or engineer. Those three things were pretty common. At least a lot of people wanted to become that, but for me it was not the case. For me I always wanted to become a forensic scientist or a medical detective, and this this is because because at the time I was obsessed with crime shows. I was obsessed with true crime. I was obsessed with even shows like NCIS, CSI, Investigation, Discovery. I would be binge watching let me see some of the shows I can remember: Fatal Attraction, On Earth Did I Marry, Nightmare Neighbor Next Door, Great Crime That Shook Britain, and just about serial killers. And it was fascinating to see how these forensic scientists like solved crimes, and I was just interested. That was my goal. That was what I wanted to do. So if you asked me from GS2 even up until SS3, which was like my last year in high school, I would have told you I wanted to become a forensic scientist or a medical detective. That was just it. People would then ask me, oh, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, this is what it means in Nigeria. Are you sure? But I was stuck on that. That was my hill I was willing to die on at the time. Anyways, so in final year in high school, that's SS3, right? You get to That's when you apply into the university, and you get to take two exams, WAEC and JAM. Now WAEC and JAM are exams that are very, very important for you to enter the university. If you could pass one and fail the other, and you would not be able to get into the university. You had to pass both of them. So I wrote WAEC and I passed, and then JAM as well. Now when you write JAM, you get to pick a university that you wanted to go to, and then the course you wanted to study. Now forensic science in Nigeria is not well known. It's not developed at all. So my parents were like, and Nigerian parents, you don't have to go outside the country to study for your undergraduate. You're too young. Pick a course that is related to forensic science, and then you can go and do your masters. You can go and do your masters in forensic science, like after your BSc. And they were still trying to change my mind, because obviously they were not happy with the fact that I was going with forensic science. Like, of all the courses to pick, why forensic science? Like, why didn't you want to go for medicine? And my parents really wanted me to study medicine, but I just knew that I could not. I didn't really fancy medicine, and the stress, the stories I heard were not really encouraging about how medical school is really stressful and frustrating, and it can be depressing, and I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want that kind of stress for myself. So I was like, I'm going to still go for forensic science, which is what I still am interested in. I'm not going for medicine. And so I picked biochemistry for JAM. And yeah, I passed JAM. Then after passing JAM, you're now required, the university you applied to will now call you for another exam that is usually called post-JAM. And if you now passed post-JAM, your scores will determine whether or not you get to go to the departments that you wanted to. So I wrote post-JAM and I had a 51%, which was a bit above average. It wasn't too good and it wasn't too bad too. Anyways, 2 days, I think, was it 2 days or 2 weeks? I don't know the exact time, but after some time, the cutoff marks were released for the departments, and the cutoff mark for biochemistry that I wanted, and okay, I don't think I gave a reason for picking biochemistry. Biochemistry was kind of close to forensic science in the sense of forensic biochemistry, so I could do biochemistry and then now like leverage on that to do my master's in forensics, which was what I had in my head at the time. Anyways, the cutoff was released and I had a 53. I had a 51 and the cutoff for biochemistry was 53. Automatically. The dream of being a forensic science was thrown out of the window, because if you live in Nigeria, you know anything about Nigerian universities, and I applied to the University of Ibadan, and they have a reputation, like their reputation precedes them. Anyways, I could not get in for biochemistry, so I now had to apply for a change of course. Now there's another thing that Nigerian universities do, or federal universities. If you don't get the course that you wanted to apply for, you get a chance to reapply for a change of course, and then you pick a course that fell between like your marks. So for me, that I had 51, I would have to pick a course that the cutoff was between 50 and 51 within my discipline. And so I had two options at the time to pick, either physiology or human nutrition. Yes. Now, those two courses, that was my first time ever hearing them, like my very first time. So I knew that, oh, okay, physiology didn't really give me the vibe I wanted. Now, I picked human nutrition as my course change, like my change of course, because back in high school or secondary school, human food and nutrition was my, well, let's say one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite subjects. So I was going to pick food and nutrition because I enjoyed the whole practicals, and like, okay, you have to cook for a pregnant woman, and I just personally, I enjoy cooking. So I thought, oh, it was going to be like that. I mean, what's bad in food? What's bad in cooking? I enjoy that anyway, so let me go for that. So I started to look at a career in human nutrition. Okay. However, UI had other plans for me. The admission list was released, and I remember seeing Forest Resources Management with my name. Oh my god, I was in shock. Forest Resources Management. That was my first time hearing it. My very first time knowing that a course like that. Hearing about Forest Resources Management, like, what exactly is that? What does it entail? What is the meaning? And I remember after the admission list came out and I saw my course that I was admitted into, I remember a friend messaging me. She might not remember, or she might remember, but I remember she messaged me and she was like, forest manager. That was just, it was a shock for me. And I remember, okay, since I didn't know anything that the course entailed, I had to take a trip down with my mom to the department in the University of Ibadan, and I walked into the department to see the secretary, and I wanted to see like maybe the HOD or maybe just someone that was going to tell me what this course was about, because I have no clue what this course is about. And so the secretary was on seat and she was like, okay, just sit down. The dean and the sub-dean and the program coordinator, the course staff advisor or something, in a meeting, so they would explain further to you, just have your seat. And while waiting for them, she was trying to give me like a pep talk. See, agriculture is a very good course. I bought one plot of land in the 1990s for 70,000 naira. Now, that was in 2015, remember, that I want to sell it, it's almost a million naira. You can never go wrong with agriculture is everything, it is this and I'm like, okay, you bought a plot of land, man, that's real estate. I am not studying real estate here. I'm talking about forest resources management and you're telling me buying and selling of land. How that one thing concern me? But okay, the HOD and the staff advisor and the sub-dean finished their meeting and they met me sitting, and I was like, okay, my name is Bimsola. I just got admitted into this department and I have no clue what this course is about. Like, I am just hearing this for the first time. Do you care to enlighten me? Maybe it's something I might remotely have interest in, because at that time I was blank, my mind was blank, but I know it's a 5-year course. And this is the funny part. You know, when there's something about Nigerian universities or Nigeria in general, when they tell you this course, you can work anywhere. Like, some people say that's inside that you're studying a useless course, but that's exactly what they told me. No course is useless, by the way, don't come for me, please. Okay, they now told me, forest resources management is a very good course. You can work anywhere. We have some of our graduates that are working in First Bank, that are working in GTB. Any field, one even decided to start their own business, you open their own shop, one even opened a boutique, they're all doing well for themselves. Your first degree does not matter, it's what you do with it. The lot of, and here I was just looking like, so this is my life. Is this my life right now? I left there without any definite answers. But looking back at it, I feel like there should have been a better way that they could have expressed the department or put the department in a better light. Because the course itself, looking back at it, it's not a bad course. I mean, there's a whole lot of climate change going on, and there's a need for more environmentalists right now in the time that we are. So that could have been like a better way to put it. But I don't blame them. At the same time, I didn't even have the interest in it. I didn't have the passion for it, and I didn't now want to stay at home, because if you don't get into university that year, you have to wait to write the next JAM, which is usually the next year. And that's basically, you're going to have to stay back for a year. You're going to stay at home for a year doing nothing. And my parents, and my parents were not even going to have it, because they're like, what? We have been praying, we have been fasting, you are entering university this year by every means possible. So I had to go for forest resources management. Okay, I resumed and I was in Idia Hall. That was my hall of residence in UI. I was in Idia Hall, and I remember walking into my room that day after like registration, and then you get to meet your new roommate. And I remember walking into my room, and I had a roommate studying medicine and surgery. I had another roommate studying dentistry. I had another roommate studying law. I had another roommate studying geography, and there was this extra roommate I had. She wasn't in my room, but she stayed in my room a lot. She was studying human nutrition, which is the course I wanted to study. So like, you're studying the course I wanted to study. But anyways, and here I was studying forest resources management. Now here's the kicker. After resuming, and you know you're resuming as a freshman in university, you are feeling like you are a big girl, you're an adult at 17. I feel like, oh, I'm a big girl, I'm in university now, don't talk to me nice, yada yada yada. And okay, I remember, I've been saying I remember a lot. Anyways, it's a story time and I'm remembering. So during that time, there would be stellites, people that have stayed in like the university that are no longer freshers basically. And usually I used to hang with my roommates. Imagine, now let me set a scenario for you guys. The five of you are going out. Maybe you're taking a walk and then there's this group of stellites guys, and then they come and they're like, oh, good evening, how are you? Guys are freshers, but at what level? Like, yes, okay, what department are you? That's the next question that comes. And my first roommate goes, my name is this, I'm studying medicine and surgery. Second one goes, I'm studying dentistry. Third one goes, I'm studying law. Fourth one goes, I'm studying human nutrition. And I get like that, and like, wow, 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 wow. And then it gets to me and my tiny self. They're like, I'm studying forest resources. Before I see management, before I even land, like, oh, agree. I'm like, you never let me land. The course was long to pronounce, and so they were just showing up like agree, and I'm like, hey, imagine. Oh my god. So they were just like, oh, agree, and it got to a point that if anybody asks me what department are you or what course are you studying, I was like agree. I'm not in the mood for story, like agree. Fast forward to exams. Now, looking back at it, I know that I didn't take my studies seriously. I knew that I wasn't even being serious at all. Because coming from secondary school, I had always been this average student. I'm not the best, and at the same time I'm not failing. I was just in the middle, like the middle ground, and I was comfortable with that. I mean, I was okay with it. Now I took that mentality into the University of Ibadan that I didn't have to stress myself so much in reading, and at the same time, as long as I'm not feeling first class, it's for those that wanted first class. I did not really see myself as a first class candidate or a first class material. I didn't take my studies seriously. I was feeling like I'm a big girl. I'm in university. I'm a big girl. Nobody has to stress me to come for classes. All of that. And with every academic system, you have classes and you have exams. My exam time came. That was the first semester exams, and that was my rude awakening. That was my rude awakening because I remember this particular course that we used to take in 100 level. I'm sure many you can remember chemistry 157. It was physical chemistry, and that course had a reputation because it was 4 units and it was complicated. The exam came and that was the very first result I saw. I saw chemistry 157 first. I cannot forget that day. Never. The results were released and they were sent to like our class groups. And you have to just check your matric number and then check your score. So I remember checking my matric number and I saw it at 6. I was like, 36. Not bad. That's average. Like over 70. The exams were over 70. So probably with your CA you should be entering like 50 something, and not bad. That's a C. That's a C. Like, I mean, only for me to keep scrolling, and I saw 86. Someone had 86. Someone had a 77. And then I saw a couple of 60s, 62, 64. I saw 58. And I was like, okay, for there to be 80, 60s, and 70s, It looks like this thing is not over 70. Looks like it's over 100. I mean, like discussing their scores, like they had 50s and 60s, and how did I get? You don't have to know my score. Don't even bother to know my score, please. And it was just like, wow, I got it at 6. That was like my rude awakening, because I think that was the first time I actually ever failed, and like it will hit me. It wasn't my first time failing an exam, but the fact that this was my first semester in university and it's a 4 unit course and I have failed it, I'm going to have to take the course again. I'm going to have to carry it over. And in my house, they have been shouting before I went to university, don't have carryover, don't have carryover. And here I was, I'm in carryover in a 4 unit course that has flunked my CGPA. What's the length of my CGPA? And then I saw a couple of other results. I saw my results, and there was also another course that was also 4 units. Now I cannot remember if it was botany or zoology, but I also had F. So I've had 2 Fs, 2 4 unit courses. Imagine what my CGPA is looking like. Oh my god. Something that UI does, and it is it's always very funny during that period. It's called Book of Life. And usually when the Book of Life is a compilation of every single student in the university from the first year to the final year, and it's always their CGPAs. Now the Book of Life had a whole lot of what's it called, repetition, because it did not matter who you were or what you thought you were. Book of Life will humble you, straight up. It will humble you. So even if you are one girl that has been forming for some guys, they just need to know your matric number, and once they see your CGPA, if God help you, it's a bad CGPA, you are going to be made fun of. You'll be like, you just cast. And Book of Life came out. Remember I said UI, I don't think I said this, but UI uses a 7 grade point system, and so every single CGPA was over 7.0. Over 7.0, keep that in mind, it's over 7.0. And I remember seeing my own CGPA. Remember I've had F's, I've had D's, I barely escaping, and I saw my CGPA and it was 1.6. I can never forget. Never. 1.6 out of 7. And I never try. Like there's no excuse for that. Like what was that? 1.6. That was a brutal awakening for me, that okay, obviously university is not the same as secondary school. You cannot carry the mentality of university of secondary school into the university. Now you have a couple of carryovers, your result is barely hanging. Now speaking of the 1.6 CGPA, I remember my mom giving me advice, like when I was going to the university, that okay, try to, and then some other people, so try to make sure you get a good CGPA so you can like cross over. You could do a transfer to the human nutrition department, but you have to pass. You cannot transfer to another department with a low CGPA. And here I was with a 1.6. I cannot transfer to human nutrition. In fact, I'm on my way out. I'm on my way out of the university. If I keep it up, they will advise me to withdraw. And I made sure to hide that result from my parents for as long as possible. They would ask, "Have they released the result?" They've not released the result though. I made sure to hide. They eventually found out, and they were disappointed, like to say the least. Like disappointment was an understatement. It was terrible for me. And then in my second semester, I knew that I had to do better. Now that whole episode of failing and I was going through some things at home, coupled with the fact that my parents were disappointed in me. So let's just say my mental health was not in the best states. It was in a terrible state, and I had to leave my house and leave back the school hostel to go and stay with a teacher that turned a family friend slash uncle for me. I had to go stay with him and his wife at the time, and for me, looking back at it, that period was the period of staying with them is one I would never forget, because they really helped me. And I'm not sure if they'll watch this video, but I would I'll just say their names. Uncle Shay and Auntie Dami really helped me. They encouraged me. They made me see that, okay, now you're failed. I mean, welcome to the university. That's how university life is, but don't let that weigh you down. And it was more of like a morale booster and an academic booster, staying in their house for like most of my second semester, and it helped my CGPA. I remember after writing the exams and the second semester results were released, and I think my GPA was 3.2, and then my CGPA ended up boosting to like 2.1 or 2.2 at the time. I think it was between 2.1 and 2.3. I can't remember the exact CGPA it was, but that was improvement. Anybody in a university knows that improving your CGPA takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of grit and grind to boost your CGPA. And me now, at least I've moved from the ones I'm now into not the best CGPA, but it was an improvement.